Figure 4 Radio.
Lock it in. Lock it in. Lock it in.
Hello everyone, welcome to Figure 4 Radio. My name is the Mastermind Ollie Spring. I'm joined today, as always, by the Killer Kai Brand.
Good cock, hello.
And Luke O'Mac.
Hello.
I don't know how many times we've tried to record a podcast and I've started the intro and you've just come a cock halfway through.
Have you ever rung anybody up and just said cock and hung up again?
No.
I haven't many.
No. I feel like we should explain the in-jokes before we make them, because...
What you don't hear at home is every time Ollie says, hello and welcome to Figure 4 Radio.
Yeah, every time, yeah.
Somebody says cock.
Yeah. So anyway, Kyle, what are we talking about this week?
Video games. I want to talk about video games.
Cool.
I
Okay.
absolutely love wrestling video games. Always have done as a child. And, you know, through the years that I hadn't really got into wrestling, I still played the video games. Because
I did.
absolutely just, for
In
some
fact,
reason, loved them.
I probably played the video games during the Attitude Era way more than I actually watched
Yes.
the Attitude Era.
did you have, is it WWE Attitude?
I do, yeah. I had that.
You do?
I had,
You
I
still have it?
I had Warzone, I had Attitude, I had SmackDown 2, and I think that's kind of where I stopped.
I think I had
for the PlayStation.
I had Warzone and SmackDown 2, and then I think I got Raw versus SmackDown like 2007,
Yeah.
or something like that. So yeah, I played them. Like, I'd always go back and play them.
I say it, I never owned the Raw versus SmackDowns.
Me neither, I don't
They
think.
weren't overly great, to be honest. It was essentially, I think you played it through the same way,
Yeah.
and the storylines were exactly the same, except you decided to choose whether you were SmackDown or Raw.
What
There was very little in it.
What was your first wrestling games ever? Like, there was always, whether it was yours or a friend's that you played. Can you remember what
I
you? what it
can't
was?
remember whether it was the Genesis or whether it was the Super Nintendo, but it was a WrestleMania game.
Okay.
And it had literally, I think it had The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Hogan.
Nintendo.
Was it the Nintendo?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. It literally had like 8 or 10 people on it that you could choose from.
Hashtag roster.
Yeah, pretty much. Hashtag draft
What,
picks.
what was yours?
Well, mine, I never had one on the Sega Mega Drive. Sega Mega Drive was the console I had growing up, so I never had one on there. But when I went on holiday to Bahamas, the hotel had an arcade.
Oh, okay.
And the only game I played was this wrestling game. I haven't a clue what it might have been, similar to the Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo one. But
Was it licensed by the WWF or was it?
Yes,
an
yes, yeah.
independent one?
It genuinely had Hulk Hogan, had the Warrior, had Macho Man.
Cool.
So it was that era of video games, if you like. But I think if I wasn't by the pool, eating food, getting fat on the beach, I was in the arcade, just playing that game. Even to the point where the guy who would like look after the arcade, knew I was on there, and I think started to get annoyed that I was pretty much on that game 24/7. I played nothing else but that game. Even running back to the hotel room just to annoy my dad to give me more quarters to go back over there and beat up Hulk Hogan some more.
Wow. Well, I think
Beat up Hulk Hogan, not be Hulk Hogan.
Well, beat him up.
Okay.
Beat up
Alright.
John Cena.
I think the very first one, it was either two. I can't remember. There was one I had on the Mega Drive, which was called, I think it was called Wrestle War. It was like
Right.
it was very.
Was it a licensed one?
No, it was very
Right.
much like very similar to WWF characters at the time.
Hulk Hogan, by any
Yeah, so yeah, along those lines. I don't think it was quite so quite so obvious.
Was it
but-
Terry or something?
Huh?
Terry Hogan or Hulk
I
Terry?
can't remember. I mean, I've got it in the other room. I can go. I can maybe go find it. I probably should have found it if I'd have planned for this. But there's other. Or there was one that I think was on the PlayStation 1, which was the In Your House video game, which was so simple, and it was kind of like Mortal Kombat but for wrestling.
Right, okay.
If that makes sense.
You had to beat a certain number of people in a row.
No. As in just the way it looked. It was very cartoony.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
Very unrealistic. If that makes much sense. But I mean, like, yeah, I definitely grew up on them. I definitely had some of the real early ones. I can't remember if it was Attitude or if it was Warzone that came first. Warzone did come first in 1998. Jesus, that makes me feel old. Yeah, I mean, I was absolutely hooked. But then recently, actually, more recently, I bought 2K16,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
and I was both impressed and bored at the same time.
Why?
Okay, so 2K16 had a kind of like a not like a storyline mode, but you emulated the career of Stone Cold, and you had to play certain matches, certain kind of big matches
Yeah.
from his career, which was really cool. And you had to like fight, and you had to do certain spots in order to progress through the match. So you could beat up the Rock as many times as you want, but until you hit the stunner on the announce table, you couldn't then go towards the
Yeah,
next
they
chapter.
kind of
Yeah.
doing that quite a bit.
So I really enjoyed that because that's right up my street, and like trying to play along with it. It was quite lifelike. They used a lot of the they modelled it as close to it as possible. They would use the original commentary at the right times and things like
that's
that.
good.
So that was really good. Only problem was that mode was finished very quickly because I'd ploughed through it.
Right.
And then because I don't play online, it kind of got very boring very quickly. I didn't quite get the whole season mode type thing.
Do they
so
still
kinda
like?
took
I
it back
haven't
to
really played
CX.
it. I haven't played it for a very long time. So do they still do like create a superstar and go through the career mode and things like that?
Superstar. But actually, that's one of the things I loved about the early games, like the real old games. The shit that you could create was just crazy. I think it's got a bit too much now because like you don't just have face 1, face 2. It's like you've got like 7 different settings just for the nose, 5 for the ear. Like
It's a bit too much.
Yeah,
it's
that's
too
it. Yeah,
lifelike. Yeah.
But I kind of got bored, to be honest, so I shopped it in and got rid.
Fair enough.
But like, I guess they kind of feel like they have to, because from what I gather, it's very similar every year. It's the same type of
I
game.
think it just
a new
updates
roster.
the roster.
That's it,
yeah.
kind of like FIFA and does Madden still exist, or like
Yeah.
NBA games and stuff like that? So
I think they
to
have
do
like
one every
NFL
year.
ones, NHL ones, that kind of stuff
yeah,
every
NHL's
year.
another one. Yeah, it's the same game every year, just
Yeah.
with updated rosters.
Like
Yeah.
this year, 2016, isn't they got the Brock Lesnar? So
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
follow Brock Lesnar.
But
That's-
this year it's
2K17.
2K17's. What? That's this.
Yeah.
Like I've never understood that. Like why?
It's an American thing, I think.
think
I think
it-
it's like it's for the next year.
Yeah.
So they'll release it like just before Christmas or whenever it's released, and then obviously it's the game for 2K17, and then they release another one like halfway or like September time.
I assumed
Go.
it was something to do with like football seasons. Obviously, now it's the 2016 to 2017. It's like the same sort of
I
similar
guess,
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
The FIFA 17 will be coming out, and then you've got like 2K17, you've got
Maybe.
NBA 17, you've got NHL 2K17.
Either that, or they're
Seasons sort of
they're just a year ahead of us and they don't know how to tell the date.
Oh, yeah, 17.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll tell you one game I do have is TNA Impact. I've still
I
got
had that.
Yeah,
It was shit, wasn't it?
I've still never quite. I don't know. But see, the brilliant thing with TNA Impact, the video game, was they introduced Suicide, the
Suicide,
character,
Yeah.
and for some reason that was so over in the game that I presume they made Suicide in real life based
Because
on
of the game,
on the
yeah.
feedback of the game.
Yeah.
I would presume, and I think they thought it was so good that they made him in real life.
Good idea. But that was your career, wasn't it? Yeah, you were
Yeah, yeah,
Suicide.
yeah.
I
Which-
didn't like that.
Yeah. But I think the ironic thing, he in the game he went for the heavyweight title, but in real life he was always the X Division guy, which was it didn't kind of tie up.
No, see,
See,
I
I-
wanted to create my own superstar. I didn't want to be Suicide.
I'm pretty
I
sure
wanted
you
to-
still can.
Yeah, but
I think I created
I've
Jeff
never got-
Hardy for mine.
Did you?
Somewhere, yeah, just gave him like a wife beater and like cargo trousers, long hair and some tattoos, and that was it. Like, yep, Jeff Hardy.
Stella.
Yeah.
Stella inside? I don't know. But you know, it was very good. The first game I did have was that I owned myself was Warzone on the Game Boy. Which is
On the
Okay.
Game
Wow.
Boy.
yeah, standard Game
Wow.
Boy. I still have it, actually.
I
found
didn't
that Game Boy
think
the other day.
I didn't think they released any for the Game Boy.
Yeah, no, they did. I remember
Okay.
having it and pretending I could do the tombstone because I was always like Kane or the Undertaker. It turns out it was just a suplex. I had no idea. But in my head-
I really like those early games though because all you could do was clothesline off the ropes,
Yeah.
a suplex,
drop kick.
a drop kick, and a pin.
The
That
four,
was
the
essentially
four
that was
the four buttons were the four
that was
moves,
essentially
yeah.
all you could do.
But the one I had for the main console, the PS1, was WCW Thunder.
Okay.
Do you know what I
Hang
remember?
on, Thunder wasn't
Yeah,
Thunder
yeah, yeah.
the B show like
It was.
or C show?
I-
But they had that Thunder had their own game.
Yeah, I remember going to
What?
Blockbusters in Newport
Wow.
before it became a Subway.
Oh man, Blockbusters.
and actually taking that out as a game.
It was again god awful.
Yeah, it was shite.
Yeah, so they had WCW Nitro. I never had that. So
Okay.
Thunder was like the next one from that. And it was such an awful game that you had to do something like, see if I can remember it. up, down, circle, square, and then down again just to do a suplex.
Wow.
It was so complicated. So
that's
fucking god
yeah, that's
awful.
hassle.
One question before
Yeah.
go on. One question about Warzone. Did anyone ever work out how to do any other finisher than the Stone Cold Stunner?
No.
I think I'm trying to think. I've got. Once again, I could run through to the other room and grab them. I think I've written down the codes for doing it. So I think I got them either in a magazine or through friends, or I don't know if the internet was a thing back then, but
No.
I think I wrote them down.
But it was just so hard that the only one I could work out as the easy one was the Stone Cold Stunner. But I could not do like the Tombstone, like the Choke Slam. I could not do any of them. It was just so complicated and awful, and I hated that bit.
I can't think of the name of the game. I think it was maybe Superstars, but there's one WWE game more recently, maybe in the past 5 years or so, that was like really OTT, where the wrestlers were all like super jacked up, but with tiny heads, and like a choke slam, you'd lift them through the roof of the
I
arena.
haven't seen
Have
that.
you? It was released maybe about 4 or 5 years ago.
No,
Have you
I
not
haven't seen that.
What do you guys prefer? The kind of the more true to life games,
Yeah.
or well, have you ever played any of the more
I
crazy
don't know. I
ones
think
like that?
because I spent such a long time playing something like I think SmackDown 2 was my go-to game, and I spent such a long time literally just destroying everyone. Every match was like a no DQ, so I
Yeah.
could put people through tables and beat the shit out of them outside and just get chairs and stuff. And I just used to, spend hours doing that.
It was called WWE All Stars.
I
was the
saw
game.
that, but because it looks just ridiculous.
That's the thing,
I
but
just-
like
it put me off.
I think I'd prefer. I almost prefer a more wacky game, a bit more tongue in cheek.
Okay.
I guess.
The one game I found really hard to play and I really struggled with was I had a GameCube and I got
God, I love the GameCube.
it was good, but I got a game. I think it was something like it was called something like WWF Legends or
Yeah.
something like that. And the mechanics for that was just horrid. Like I think I played it once, and I was Hogan and I was against Macho Man, and the match took me half an hour because I couldn't figure out how to do any moves at all. And I don't think the computer knew how to do any moves either.
No,
it was
that-
just so hard.
That was the GameCube for you. No, my friend's uncle had it. I never got a chance to play it. I got a chance to sit there and watch because he was like 26, where I was like 8 or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So I could see it. I could sit there, shut the elk up, and just watch him do it. And it was, I didn't like the looks of it as a child, to be honest.
Yeah.
More than
it was,
anything. Did you ever get a chance to play ECW's version of it?
No.
Oh really? I saw
No. I've not really played like outside of the WWE games. I've not actually played many other wrestling games.
Oh really?
Yeah, I really struggled. I don't say struggled to play them. I just never really went looking for
Is it
them.
because you didn't really know the superstars themselves? That kind of like, well, I know the WWE.
Yeah, I guess so. Like I knew a handful of the guys in
WCW.
WCW at the time, but the rest of them were just I don't know. Never really like because they weren't the names I was seeing every week. Weren't
Yeah.
the massive appeal there for me to go and do it. But going back to the TNA one quickly. In the staff room in one of my old jobs, they had a PlayStation and it had the TNA game there, and I put it in once and just looked at it and just thought, oh, this is shite.
It
Yeah, it was really bad.
Ollie might like the idea of being suicide and how it got over. And many people might have liked the reviews, but I just think it was god.
I found it
awful.
quite funny as well because I looked at the front of the case and was like, like 9 of the 10 people on this are no longer there.
Oh, no, bless them.
So I just went and had a little look, and I couldn't find any of the old ones.
Really?
I found SmackDown 2,
Yeah.
and I found Wrestle War, which was the Mega Drive one.
No, the thing with SmackDown. No, I after Thunder, I had WCW Mayhem, which I thought was a massive upgrade from Warzone, from the Attitude, WWF Attitude, and from Thunder, because the controls were very, very similar to SmackDown, but again a little bit harder on the doing the finishes. But I think, personally, for me, SmackDown and SmackDown 2 really put the wrestling games in its element with.
They had the easiest finishes because all you had to do was tap R1.
Well, that was it. You earn,
And it would
that's
do
what
it.
I liked about it, because
Yeah.
you earn the rights to then do that finisher,
Yeah.
and then you hit that finisher, just like you like the wrestlers will build it up, win, then they can hit their finishers. And I just think that was a bloody awesome game, mainly because I couldn't do the finishers of the other games.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
said,
Just
I could
spam
only-
them.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that in those games, when you did the creative wrestler, you had to create a move set as well, and you get to choose whether you're like a high flyer or like a heavy hitter or stuff like that. Because I would just whack both of them up onto like speed and strength, and then I'd have like the stunner as a finisher. But my
Is that your go-to finisher?
No, it wasn't. I think actually my go-to finisher would have been something like, and you're going to hate me for this, would have been something like the Twist of Fate. So I know you hate cutters.
I fucking
but-
hate cutters.
Why
Yeah.
do you hate cutters? so much?
Indie wrestlers, stop using cutters. They're just, I don't know, it's just one of those things where, like, I mean, anybody can do it. All you got to do is hold someone round the back of their head and then fall. I don't know, I just think they're a boring move now. Like, RKO was kind of overdone. As you know, the Diamond Cutter was all right, but even that was kind of used after like quite a lot in Japan. So DDP
Yeah.
stole that, and I don't, ever since DDP, I just think it's been stolen and used so many times.
Yeah, because of the whole RKO shit.
Mm.
And people were like, it's out of nowhere, so everyone's just doing out of nowhere. I blame the
Yeah.
internet, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. I don't
Or-
know. I just every time I see an indie wrestler hit it, normally it's kind of like, I don't want to say this, but bad indie wrestlers.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that if you hit it, you're a bad indie wrestler, but it's like
I might think
You're
about
more
one in
like you're
particular.
more
No,
likely to
there's
hit it.
loads. There's loads. And
You're
it's-
more likely to hit it if you're a bad indie wrestler.
Yes,
is what
yeah,
you're
it's
trying
like the
to
whole
say.
Brexit thing. Like, not all Brexiters are racist, but all racists are Brexiters. Like,
Yeah.
not all people that use the RKO are bad, but all
All the
bad
bad ones
people
use it.
will use an RKO.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just annoys me. I remember on 2K16, for some reason, do you remember Jeff Hardy used to hit? It was like he'd go for a power bomb, and instead of lifting them up and dropping them down on their back, he would continue the flow, fall backwards, and drop them on their face
yeah,
over
yeah,
their
remember
shoulders.
that.
That was my finishing move on 2K16, and I kind of instantly regretted it because it just takes up so much fucking space in the ring.
I think my other go-to move other than that was the sharpshooter.
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
absolutely
just
love
such a
submission
good
moves
shot.
on that.
Yeah.
I think the one that they call the Emma Lock at the moment in NXT.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Indian Deathlock, then bridging back with a kind of neck cravat.
Yeah.
That was my secondary finisher, I think.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. Like I do love good like ones that look proper tricky to put on.
I think like 90% of my matches on SmackDown 2 as a kid ended in submission because I just constantly put the sharpshooter on and that'll be it.
And this is the thing with 2K16. I remember I was playing through the season mode or whatever they called it, and like I think even on the hardest setting, I was winning everything, and I like nothing really felt different. The storylines all felt, because you can kind of just choose to go into various storylines, and they were all kind of the same thing, and it kind of I just got
Yeah,
bored by
it
it.
gets
To
a
be
bit like
honest.
I think that was the thing because, like I said, I can only really draw on SmackDown 2, but I found like after a while in the career mode, like obviously you'd have like it'll go to episodes of Raw and then SmackDown, and then it'll be the pay-per-view and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But every like second pay-per-view you'd be against unknown A, then B,
Yeah,
then C,
yeah.
and that's obviously where you unlocked everything. So by the time you've done like 2 years worth of pay-per-views, you've done the
Got
whole game.
everybody,
It's done.
yeah.
It gets a bit boring after that. Just going back to your go-to finishes.
Yeah.
I did mine for 2K16.
Yeah.
No, 2K14. Sorry, I haven't got 15 or 16.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just haven't. I built myself. I created myself. Have you created yourself? and
I did
yourself?
actually. Yeah.
What was your finisher? Was it the Jeff Hardy?
That was that. I can't remember what it was called on thing, but say you lift them up for the power bomb, and then you fall
Yeah.
back as they fall back on your shoulders
Uh,
and face.
going into
plant
what you're going
and that.
about. You're on about the sharpshooter. Well, because of Figure 4 Radio, I had the Figure 4.
Actually, no, fuck. No, I did have my character had figure 4, and then I created someone else that had the weird Indian
Drop
Deathlock thing. Yeah. So my finisher was the figure 4.
So my submission was the Figure
Yeah.
4 leg lock, along with the the cutter. Yeah,
Everyone loves a cutter.
I mean,
It was
if you
easy.
innovate it, I don't mind. Like Will Ospreay's springboard cutter when he's got his back to them, that's cool. It's an innovation. So he kind of springs off the ropes, flies towards his opponent backwards, then grabs them around the neck and lands a cutter as he's falling. That's kind of cool.
People who
Well,
don't
hang on
know
a second.
wrestling, it's
Can I just-
basically John Cena's springboard stunner, but an actual cutter.
Yeah.
I was going to say, but isn't the stunner essentially a cutter?
It is, but it's more fucking it up and landing on your ass than on your
Yeah,
back.
but
But yeah, the stunner you land on your knees, whereas the cutter you
Yeah, I
land on
guess
your
so.
belly. And
Yeah, I
I guess
guess
they are and they're not. I think for when I was as a kid growing up, I always thought that the the stunner was one that would like kind of really like
Hurt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas an RKO, you're just falling on your stomach.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what I can't explain why. I think it's because it's so overdone now. I can't stand it really. I found the Wikipedia page for Wrestle War, which was potentially the very first game I ever played. It was released in 1989.
Wow.
Yep, there
Christ.
you go. It had 8 characters. There was the Mohawk Kid, Sledgehammer, who was apparently based on Bruiser Brody, Mr. J, Don Dambuster, based on Road Warrior Hawk, Nimrod Falcon, based on Mil Mascaras, Titan Morgan, based on Hulk Hogan. So yeah,
Titan Morgan.
Titan Morgan.
Nice name.
Buckskin Rogers, based on Stan Hansen, and Grand Kong, based on Abdullah the Butcher. I can't remember if they actually looked anything like that, but yeah, 1989.
Bloody hell.
I don't think I played it in 1989 because
I was 2 years old.
I would have been 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they had 8. They had 8 characters. Yeah, how's that for a roster? They got 38% rating.
Because it's shit.
Probably.
Have you played the TNA mobile one?
They have a.
They have a mobile. Check
Really?
it out. Yeah, I had it on my iPod, and I searched for it the other day on the Android, the Play Store, wherever it's called.
Is it like the Superstars cards type thing, or is it
No,
an
no, 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 no.
actual?
I had that. I had the card. Yeah.
It's genuinely a wrestling game. It's a bit
Okay.
like what you would play back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Where you have people back then. So you had Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was there. You could wrestle as him. You could wrestle
Yeah.
as Sting and Jeff Hardy. I think Kurt Angle as well. So it was like a good 5-6 years ago.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really good game. I'm surprised, Ollie, you haven't even.
I
You
didn't know
know
it
about it.
existed, to be honest. But the Supercard, WWF Supercard.
I've just
Yeah.
recently installed that.
Fucking love.
because of you.
In fact, me and Kaylee played that a hell of a lot. I can't remember why we stopped, but that's kind of the reason Kaylee knows half of the roster at the moment is because of that game.
Yeah, describe what it is.
It's just
The Trumps, is it a bit like Trumps? Because I've installed it. I haven't actually played it yet.
I won't lie, I haven't played it in ages, but it's kind of like Top Trumps, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you kind of have to sacrifice your shit card. You can like trade in shit cards to power up your better cards.
Because
and
I
stuff
remember
like that.
my first three. Because do they like give you some cards? So I've got
Yeah, you get
Randy
like a-
Orton, Seth Rollins, and Kofi Kingston. As I remember,
Yeah.
those
What
are
a
the
tag
three.
team that is.
Oh, fuck
Yeah. I was going to say, going back to what you said about one of the games being a bit like Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Wasn't there an actual? I think it may have just been a mobile app that the WWE did.
Immortals?
Yes, that
Yeah.
was it.
What was that about?
It was basically Mortal Kombat but
Yeah,
with wrestlers.
they essentially
Oh, okay.
took the wrestlers' characters and then just like gave them Mortal Kombat moves.
Again,
Essentially,
I saw
all
that.
it was.
I saw that and was like, no.
Yeah,
I'll
I
leave
think
that.
I left that one because this is the thing. I mean, I guess I played Mortal Kombat as a kid and things
Yeah.
like Tekken and Street Fighter, but I never really the whole button mashing thing I hated because I just couldn't get into it.
I had some sort of X-Men thing, but Streets. We'll go a bit off topic.
Yeah, it was Streets of-
Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
I
That was a
actually loved
great
you're
game.
going through the actual streets and you were having a lot of rage.
Yeah, but I think I always preferred the wrestling games because I don't know, they just felt more entertaining. There's more storylines in them, I guess.
I remember there was this SmackDown where you played like a whole year, and I remember it was the actual storyline was kind of what was going on because at the end of it, the NWO turned up and you had Vince McMahon having a promo like, this is a cancer thing, and he turned around. There was yeah, do you remember?
I don't think I was in one. Because I was going to say the very first one I think I played with Warzone. I think it was. You didn't actually have storylines.
No.
There was like there was like a row of tellies all stacked up in a pyramid,
Yeah.
and the screens would change depending on where you were and how far you were, and then you kind of play through. Then you win the Intercontinental belt, and then you keep on going. Then you win the heavyweight championship. I think
And
it
that was like end of game.
that was it. Yeah. So
Delete.
you're the champion. Yeah. Delete.
No, yeah, it was a good little storyline. Only it would like go on as it normally would, but
Yeah.
the actual storyline, the decent one, would only
See-
last for a year.
I say I don't remember the NWO being in the SmackDown games,
I'm pretty sure I looked that up.
I
might have
don't
dreamt
think
this
it was
shit.
in any of the ones that I played.
and not
But
the
then I
first
think-
two anyway.
Yeah, I think I must have stopped playing. I'm trying to think what year I kind of drifted out of it.
It might have been a SmackDown Raw game, but not.
No, I don't think it was.
No.
No, I'll quickly sort of look this up. Down video game.
Kind of really want to go and play some games.
Should we just drop Mike and go play?
Drop some?
Let's
Yeah,
go.
let's
Go.
do it, yeah. I've got a real hankering to play the In Your House video game because it was so. I think it was easy to like you were saying about how hard it was to hit a suplex in that WWE game. in your house, I'm pretty sure it was just one button for a finisher once you had it once you had it kind of like I'm trying to think of the
You'd
word
beat them
now.
up enough, and it kind of loaded almost.
But
as
like,
it were.
and looking at the pictures as well, the other thing was the arenas you'd play in were very comic-y and very cartoony. And yeah, like I've just seen a screenshot of the British Bulldog. One of his special moves, his face is actually turned into a bulldog, and he's biting somebody. Like that's how dodgy it is.
Do you, like, because obviously you guys have played, Kai, obviously you played 14, Ollie, you played 16. Do you think the 2K games have got a bit too realistic and they missing out on some of the comedy? Because one of my favourite things to do on like the SmackDown games were like hardcore matches or cage matches or something like that, and just demolish everything I could.
Yep.
And then pin them or submit or whatever.
I remember. I think it was the first game where you could start going to like backstage areas.
Yeah,
I
And
love
there-
that.
And
Yeah.
I remember. I think there was a street, and every now and again a car would drive past.
Yeah, you just drive in
And
front of a car.
I remember trying so hard to chuck someone in front of a car, and never being able to do it because the car would just never. It would be like
Wouldn't come.
there and gone in a split second.
Yeah.
The NWO was SmackDown Just Bring It, which I think was SmackDown 2.
No, SmackDown 2 was Know Your Role, I think.
Yeah, it must have been just after.
So maybe
Must have been
maybe
the
that was like
third one.
SmackDown 3.
They had SmackDown Just Bring It. What did I say? No,
Yeah.
shut your... No, I don't know.
So yeah, well,
They were
one of
in
them.
it.
It was in one of them. It was in one of them. Cool. But yeah, I think the video games definitely. As a kid, I was more into the games than I was, because obviously I had access to the games. I didn't have access to the TV shows.
Yeah, that's true.
I like the ones where I could relive, like I think it was 13 where you can relive the Attitude Era, because the Attitude Era was my time. So
That's it. So I
going
guess
from start to finish of the Attitude Era.
I like the real. Like, I love the realism of 2K16 when you play the Stone Cold matches, but it just wasn't enough. Once it would like the thing, like once I finished it, it was like, oh,
You do a couple of years of
where
the,
do I go from
the
there?
career.
Like, yeah.
Do they still do? Because like I said, I've not played it for a long time. Do they still do the GM mode where you can book
Yes.
the?
They did in the ones I played. I think 14 was the last one I played. But yeah, they still kind of had that. You could run. Well, you could do the whole storyline for itself, so you could like build up a feud starting from November, ending in WrestleMania. Or
Yeah.
whatnot. So you can still do all that crap.
Okay.
There's more story mode. But
See, that's the type of thing I like. Like, you go back to, like you said, like the FIFA games and things like that. I love manager mode. Like, fuck playing the actual game. Like, I can score 20 goals in 20 minutes. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
But I actually prefer the manager side to it because that's kind of the stuff no one really sees, and that's the bit I enjoy the most.
have you played the booking game that you can get?
Oh, I think I tried that.
No.
I think I tried that one.
There's
I
a
can't remember
booking
what it was
game?
called. Yeah, like an
Yeah.
app where you don't actually fight, but you book matches and you book cards.
Okay.
But it's shit.
They've also got one
Oh,
like
shit.
if you've played like Football Manager or Ice Hockey Manager or whatnot, something like that.
Yeah.
They've got an actual game you can have on your PC as well. And I'm just trying to find it, and I think it was like TWA or something like that. Oh, sorry, TEW, Total Extreme Wrestling. You can
Okay.
get it on Steam. I played like the 2005 and it wasn't very good, but I heard actually the newer version.
It's got better since. Yeah.
Obviously,
You think it's like 11 years ago?
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But
Fair enough.
I played it. It kept me entertained.
Yep.
The 2005 demo, but it was. I think I'll get bored of it too easily.
Yeah.
Unless, but you know, if I played like the 2016 version, I might like it. But
I think
I've
it'll be
got-
that thing though, like if you could start booking territories or little places and then move up somewhere massive like the WWE, like
Yeah,
you'd have to have a story to it as opposed to just booking matches and getting money and booking matches
I think
and
you
getting
can
money.
do that in terms of getting contracts, building up feuds,
Yeah.
building their gimmicks and doing stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think you can really simulate that though?
No, not necessarily
In that
because
like,
it's
obviously
it's
one
all
person-
AI, isn't
yeah.
it? It's all how you program it to
One
be.
person's
It's,
booking is brilliant in someone's eyes and terrible in another's. So
yeah, I guess so.
I think it would be interesting to try, I guess, but I've never seen it work. Well, from the ones I've downloaded on my phone, at least.
Yeah, fair enough.
All I know is I absolutely love video games. They certainly have a place in the sports industry and, of course, the entertainment industry, as is Xbox and video games and SmackDown, God knows
Yeah.
what, and WWE Universe. Obviously, they've got the brand split happening again, or the draft split, or the brand split. So 2K17 or 2K18 could be quite interesting again. So who knows?
Yeah, well, you reckon they'll incorporate that into
course,
into
they
the
will do.
into the current
They'll
one,
have
the
to, I think.
17, or?
I think it might be a bit late for 17 because they're going through developments. unless
But
they
then
can
you
quickly
got
do
so
something.
many like updates and stuff on
Oh yeah, you
games
probably
online
download.
anyway. So surely you'll be able to get updated rosters and gameplay that way.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to go with in terms of sort of you had the Stone Cold game, you've got the Brock Lesnar. Are they going to keep doing that? Because I'm going to get so bored of that very, very, very quickly. And like
Well-
you had the WrestleManias, you had one match from each WrestleMania. It was quite interesting because there was some stuff I didn't actually know
Yeah.
about, and it's like, oh, okay, I've learned some stuff about that. So it's like where can
There's
they go?
only
'Cause
so
they're
much
gonna
they
run
can
out.
do, isn't it? Yeah, there's
Yeah.
only so much they can do.
They can probably incorporate GTA in it and see if you can get Jeff Hardy through the airport, but after smoking a load of. For legal reasons, I'm going to stop right now.
Yes.
But anyway, thank you for listening to this video game Figure 4 Radio podcast. My name is the Killer Kyle Brand. Ollie, you
sure?
going to take over?
I'm the
He's on his
mastermind.
phone.
Well, I was reading up about the games. I'm
Oh, yeah?
on my the mastermind master phone. Yeah, I'm the mastermind Ollie Spring.
I'm Luke O'Mac.
Who's going to do the social media stuff today?
Well, let's hand it over to Luke. He needs a bit of practice.
Thanks.
That's all right.
What's that website? What's that website, Luke?
Go.
You can find us at www.figure4radio.weebly.com.
How? What we got? We got like I think we got links to all the podcasts on there. They got all my blogs. My
your
blogs,
blogs?
my reviews of all the shows are up there.
I'm
Yeah.
too lazy to write. That's why.
Yeah, whereas I can't help it.
Yeah, you can catch up all the mastermind analysis on there. You'll also be able to get all the podcasts. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher and Podomatic. Am I right in
Podomatic,
saying,
yeah,
right in saying that? You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, which is all at Figure 4 Radio. And you can check out our videos on YouTube, which is F4TV.
Kyle, are any of our old podcasts up on YouTube yet?
No, not yet.
If you're listening to this
Years to come.
the week that we've released it, then we're going to start moving some of the old ones onto YouTube. So if you want to pod them, download them now, go and get them all, because they're soon going to be moving out. But they will be on YouTube, won't they?
Yeah,
so,
they will be eventually.
Yeah, so they're not going to disappear. They're just going to get moved. So, but if you perhaps like Podcast or Podomatic or iTunes instead of YouTube, then yeah, go check all the other ones out before they disappear.
What you can do, or simply like Luke said, go onto our website, it's figure4radio.weebly.com. Just go to the podcast, follow the links, and they'll go straight from iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, and straight over to the YouTube once they're on there anyway. So just go to the
Ow.
website anyway.
Easy
Boom. It's
peasy.
going to be easy for you.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's game over, guys.
Lock it in.
This has been a Figure 4 Radio production. For more podcasts, go to our website www.figure4radio.weebly.com.